was the most appalling, bloody sight. He had discharged both barrels of his shotgun right into the body of the pack. Not once, but several times. The poor creatures were writhing upon the ground, howling and screaming in pain. 2 couples lay dead, 5½ couples so badly mutilated that they later had to be destroyed. I'd pulled up on the very edge of his land, and I just stood, stunned at this terrible sight. He was, well, I can only say he was screaming hysterically, raging, waving his arms about like a madman, like this. And then he saw me and immediately started to reload. Well, I didn't wait to see what would happen next. I just turned and galloped off.
And you say you saw this man reloading the shotgun?
Yes.
Do you see the man now?
Oh, yes. It was him, Oliver Peele.
Now, Mr. King-Drakeley, I should like to take you back to the start of that day's hunting. It was a Saturday morning, was it not?
Yes.
The Fulchester Valley Hunt habitually meet on Saturday mornings.
Oh, yes, indeed, and once midweek.
What time was the meet?
11 at Blakely Bottom, the King's Head. That's about 6 miles north of here, my lord.
Was it a good turnout?
About 40, just right. All the important members were there. It was a fine day, clear morning, and from our reports we could expect to find pretty early on.
Now, what direction did you take when you moved off at 11?
We made first for Blakely Wood. That's about half a mile away.
Where is the defendant's house in relation to this wood, please?
Oh, directly joining it. It's quite an isolated spot, and the bottom of his paddock is actually part of the wood, although it is fenced off, you understand.
Your lordship and the jury may find this is made clearer by reference to the agreed plan of the area, Exhibit 2.
The jury have this plan?
Yes, my lord.
Yes, why did you choose that particular wood to start your hunt?
Oh, these things are well planned. Our huntsman had made reports that there were a great many live earths there, which he had blocked the previous night.
Just a minute. You say he had blocked the foxes' holes, their earths, the night before. Tell the jury why.
Oh, to stop Charles James getting back into them, Lord.
Charles who?
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. The fox. Charles James Fox, do you see? You see, he's out hunting himself at night, so if we block his earths, he can't get home. So he just lies low in the undergrowth all morning where we can get at him.
When you say him, you mean them?
I'm sorry?
And more than one fox.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, my God, yes, dozens of them.
I see, yes.
And there was no other reason for your choosing this particular wood for your hunt on this morning?
No.
I see. Now, what happened when you reached the wood?
Well, the hunt fanned out and waited on the skirts for the huntsman to go in with his 2 whippers in, take the pack in, and start to drag.
Oh, you mean look for the scent?
In effect, yes.
And did they find it?
Immediately. Yes, it was extraordinarily quick. They had no sooner entered the covert than they started to feather. That is, they started to get very excited and rush about with their noses glued to the ground. Then they swept away to the right, following the line of the scent, and gave tongue.
Yes, I always wish we could avoid jargon. You mean they barked?
Well, it's a sort of a howl or bay, my lord, a noise of great excitement as they sensed Charles James, the quarry, to be close.
How do they know it's close?
Well, from the strength of the scent, my lord. This was apparently very strong.
I see, yes.
Go on, please.
Well, I stayed behind with the rest of the field, outside the wood, waiting for a call from the huntsman on his horn, which would mean that he had actually sighted the fox. No one moves off until then. But then, suddenly, I heard several shotgun reports, pretty close, and some shouting, and I immediately went to investigate. I instructed the rest of the field to stay behind. I cantered through the covert, following the line that the hounds had taken, until very soon I arrived at the boundary of the defendant's paddock behind his house.
Where you witnessed the bloody scene which you've described.
Exactly. It was terrible. The poor screaming creatures.
Did you subsequently see photos of the scene in the press?
I did.
Exhibit 3, please. Are these the photos?
There you are. Remarkable that a press photographer should just happen to be standing by just at the right
Mr.
moment.
King Drakeley, you may safely leave comment to Mr. O'Connor. You just confine yourself to answering the questions.
Mr. King Drakeley, do you know the defendant?
Of him? He's the chairman of the local Smash the Hunt group.
The what?
An organisation of cranks and longhairs, my lord.
My
devoted
lord.
to...
Yes, Mr. King Drakeley. Just tell us what you know of the activities of this organisation and not of the personal appearance of its members.
Well, it's an organisation, as its title implies, devoted to disrupting and smashing the hunt by whatever means it can.
That is untrue.
Now, don't you...
Mr. King Drakeley! You, Mr. Peele. Yes, Mr. O'Connor.
What was your reaction when you first saw what had happened?
Well, I was appalled, of course. I thought how absolutely frightful that it should have happened at this man's house.
That what exactly had happened?
Well, that the hounds should have followed the line, the scent, into private property, and then, as I was subsequently told by him, attacked his daughter's pet lamb on the grass behind the house, breaking it up in front of her. It was simply appalling.
Would you explain that, please, about the lamb?
Yes, it's really the crux. About an hour after the shooting, I had to go back to his paddock to help some of the hunt servants remove the bodies of the dead hounds. It was a terrible sight, like a slaughterhouse. Anyway, the defendant came out with a policeman and said to me that he had shot the beast in self-defense, that his daughter's lamb had been playing on the grass when the pack broke in, and that the hounds had torn it apart in front of the little girl's eyes. He showed me some quite small pieces of flesh and fleece in his hands, like that.
This was your initial understanding of what had happened?
It was what he told me.
Had there been any previous conflict between yourself and the defendant over the issue of fox hunting?
Yes, indeed.
How long have you been the master of the Fulchester Valley hunt?
11 years.
Yours is a well-managed hunt?
Exceedingly.
Finally, Mr. King Drakeley, are you a church warden at St Mildred's Church, Fulchester, chairman of the Friends of the Hospital Committee, and a former alderman?
I am.
Thank you.
Mr. Frederick King Drakeley, were you not in fact born Frederick Scragg?
What?
Did you change your name from Scragg to King Drakeley with a hyphen by deed poll dated 6th of March, 1952?
Yes.
And was your father H.E. Scragg, a scrap metal dealer in the Old Kent Road?
My lord, this is totally irrelevant and a gratuitous invasion of the witness's privacy.
You did put him forward as a pillar of the community, Mr. O'Connor.
My lord, is it not possible that the son of a scrap metal dealer may be a pillar of the community?
Indeed he may. I do hope these questions have some point, Mr. Lotterby.
I assure you that they do, my lord.
Oh? Oh, well, on that assurance, I will allow the question.
Thank you, my lord. Would it be true to say that you were not brought up a hunting man, Mr. King Drakeley?
I suppose so.
Not much fox hunting in the Old Kent Road, I should imagine. You came to it later in life, the time you changed your name, in fact.
Well, that's quite unconnected.
Indeed. What year did you take up hunting?
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, the county guide says 1952.
Indeed?
The year you changed your name.
So it would seem.
It was also the year you moved from London to Fulchester, was it not?
I suppose so.
So these hunting terms and turns of phrase which we also admire, these were all acquired, were they not?
All one learns, as in any expert job. You were not born a barrister, I imagine?
Nor into the scrap metal trade either. Are you a good master of foxhounds?
Well,
Mr.
obviously,
King
I
Drakeley?
can't answer that.
Is it true to say that the entire discipline of the hunt and the pack depends on the personal authority of the master?
Yes.
Is it not true that because of your background you lack any sort of authority with the members and that the Fulchester Valley hunt is frequently ill-managed, not to say chaotic?
That's absolute nonsense.
Well, is it not true that there have been 3 attempts to remove you from the mastership on the grounds that you cannot control the hunt?
Every hunt has its politics.
So it is true, Mr. King Drakeley.
I didn't say that.
Well, was not a pamphlet published and distributed at your AGM last year saying just that and calling once more for your resignation?
That was absolutely scurrilous.
So it was
beneath
issued,
contempt.
Mr. King-Drakeley.
What?
It was issued.
Yes.
Did you sue the author for libel?
Oh, I wouldn't dignify it with such a procedure.
You did not sue for libel.
No.
Yet the author's name appears on it. Was he known to you?
Yes,
I
unfortunately.
think I should like to have a look at that, Mr. Norton.
Certainly, my lord.
Perhaps we should enter it as an exhibit.
Yes, my lord. Exhibit 7, that would be. You see, Mr. King-Drakeley, I suggest that this incident in which the pack entered Mr. Peele's property occurred because the pack got out of control and went wild. And this happened partly because they'd not had a kill for some weeks.
That's absolutely untrue. The whole thing was a put-up job engineered by him for purely propaganda purposes.
Oh, it most certainly was not engineered by Mr. Peele. All he did was lawfully defend his family and his property when attacked on his own ground by these savage and uncontrolled beasts.
They were not savage and uncontrolled beasts.
Indeed. Was not the Fulchester Valley Hunt successfully sued in 1970, their foxhounds having attacked and savaged a pet cat in the very next village?
Well, that was entirely different.
Well, it was true, was it not?
The circumstances were totally...
Was it true?
The cat was in no way...
Is it true?
Yes, it was true.
Thank you, Mr. King-Drakeley. Now, how soon after this latest incident did you go to the police?
How soon?
Yes, how soon afterwards did you suggest that this incident was, as I believe you said, a put-up job?
About 3 days.
Why the delay?
Well, it took us that long to assemble the evidence.
No, was it not that the photographs had by then appeared in the newspapers and you were forced to find some excuse for the appalling behavior of the pack? Since otherwise the overwhelmingly hostile press coverage of the incident would undoubtedly have resulted in your being toppled from the mastership.
That's just a ridiculous theory.
And in desperation to defend your own position as master and to settle an old score with Mr. Peele, you concocted the fantastic story which is the basis of the prosecution of my client.
Where do you lawyers get these contemptible ideas?
From listening to evidence such as yours, Mr. King-Drakeley? No further questions, my lord.
Do you wish to re-examine, Mr. O'Connor?
Yes, my lord. Just one point. Mr. King-Drakeley, what is your occupation, please?
I'm the managing director of Clark Blackson's, the estate agent.
You have no connection at all with the scrap metal business?
None. I never have had.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, my lord?
No. You may leave the witness box.
My lord.
I call Robert William Anderson.
Robert William Anderson, please.
You are Robert William Anderson, and you reside at the Laurels, White House Way, Fulchester, and you are a veterinary surgeon.
Yes.
Do you know the defendant?
Yes, I have attended to his animals for a number of years.
What animals does he have?
Oh, he has a pony for the children, a few sheep, 3 or 4 small milchers.
Milchers? What is a milcher?
Oh, it's a small milk cow, my lord. He'd had goats in the past, a couple of dogs, that sort of thing.
And a pet lamb?
Yes, indeed.
Will you tell us about the lamb, please?
There was a small socky lamb, one who has lost its mother, about 8 weeks old. I understood he bought it as a pet for his daughter Sophie. She's 8, I think.
Yes. Did you have occasion to attend the lamb professionally?
Yes, Mr. Peele phoned me one day. I went out to see it. It was suffering from E. coli meningitis. That's a bacteriological infection acquired at birth. It was quite unable to stand up properly. It kept on throwing its head up and falling to one side. I gave it some antibiotic treatment, but I warned them that the prognosis was extremely grave.
The lamb would most likely die.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson, when was the hunt?
A week later.
Did you subsequently hear Mr. Peele's story of how the hounds had killed the lamb?
Yes. Well, it's nonsense, of course. Well, the lamb couldn't have lived a week. So, it must have been already dead.
Anderson, do you know the little girl's lamb was already dead?
Well, of course, it must have been dead.
Do you know
But it was acutely infected.
Did you see it dead?
It had no chance of recovery whatsoever.
Well, in that case, Mr. Anderson, why prescribe expensive medicines? To line your own pockets?
I strongly resent that suggestion.
Then why, Mr. Anderson?
One does one's best.
My client will say that the lamb responded to ampicillin and was making a good recovery.
I very much doubt it.
He's a liar.
I doubt it, I said.
But only doubt, so you will admit the possibility that the lamb was alive when the hounds reached it.
It was grossly improbable.
Were you there to see?
No.
No, indeed.
But I could have said for certain if I'd been allowed to examine the carcass after the incident.
What do you mean? It was destroyed by the hounds?
No, not totally. One only needs a small piece for analysis. A piece of the brain or liver tissue, something of the kind. I could then have carried out a bacteriological count, and I'm quite sure I would have found evidence of massive infection. But he wouldn't let me.
The defendant refused.
The police had commissioned me to carry out such an examination, but he refused to supply me with a sample.
Did he tell you why he refused?
Something about not upsetting his daughter or something.
Mr. Anderson, his daughter, a child of 8, had suffered the shock of seeing her pet lamb literally torn to pieces in front of her. They'd buried what was left of it in a decent grave, and now you came along and demanded the whole thing be dug up again? Hadn't my daughter suffered enough? Now, wasn't that what he said to you?
Yes, it may have been.
Was it or wasn't it?
That he was lying.
What do you mean he was lying?
That he hadn't buried it. He'd probably thrown the pieces into a stove or something because he didn't want me to examine them.
How do you know he hadn't buried it?
He couldn't show me the grave.
He couldn't show you the grave. Perhaps he didn't want to show you the grave. After all, you're not hardly the best of friends, are you?
Oh, I've got nothing against him.
Is he a friend?
He's a customer.
But not a friend.
No.
You are aware that he's been strongly, sometimes militantly opposed to the hunt for years.
Yes?
Yes. Now, this idea that the lamb might already have been dead, this idea originated from you, did it not?
Well, it did occur to me.
And you approached Mr. King Drakeley about it.
I may have mentioned it.
Oh, did you not phone him the very next day, the day after the incident, put the whole thing to him?
It may have come up in the course of conversation.
Oh, come, Mr. Anderson.
I may have mentioned it.
The subscribers to the Fulchester Valley Hunt provide the bulk of your work, do they not?
I very strongly resent that implication.
Why, is it a sore point, Mr. Anderson?
I have told you the facts.
And it is a fact, is it not, that the important members of the hunt include most of the key farmers in your practice?
There's nothing whatsoever to do
Is it a
with
fact?
It may be, but I don't think of it in those terms.
You know, do you not, that the defendant's little daughter suffered a severe mental disturbance as a result of her experience?
Well, I know that he claims so, yes.
Well, if the lamb was already dead, how do you account for that?
I have no idea. The whole family's potty, if you ask me.
Oh, Mr. Anderson, it does you no credit that you should make a remark like that. It is abusive.
You allow him to abuse me?
Mr. Lotterby was exploring the possibility that you are not a disinterested and unbiased witness. Now, if I had been in his position, I wouldn't have asked those questions. But he is fully entitled to do so.
Seems to come to the same thing.
You seriously think that the defendant's family are mentally disturbed?
What a cranks. Health food and sandals, you know the sort of thing.
Yes. Mentally disturbed.
Well, anything that happened to that little girl wouldn't surprise me. I'd no time for them.
Clearly. Yes.
If you so dislike the family, Mr. Anderson, why do you continue to treat their animals?
Strange as it may seem to you, I do have a professional conscience.
Oh, I'm very pleased to hear that, Mr. Anderson. No further questions, my lord.
I've no re-examination, my lord.
Mr. Anderson, I expect you're very busy. You need not remain in court if you wish to leave.
I call Simon Roberts.
Simon Roberts, please.
You are Simon Whitgift Roberts. You reside at Glebe Cottage, Blakely, and you are Secretary of the Fulchester Valley Hunt Followers.
That's right, sir.
Would you please explain to the court what that is, please?
What, the followers?
Yes, if you please.
Oh, well, it's a sort of supporters club. We go along to the meet and then we follow the course of the hunt on foot or by car. We cheer them on, so to speak.
You publish a hunt appointment card?
Yes.
You collect subscriptions, hold functions of your own, liaise with similar associations.
Yes, that's right.
Do your activities also include dealing with any anti-hunt groups which may turn up at the meets?
Yes, they do.
Will you tell us about that, please?
Well, we only really have one lot to contend with. That's the local Smash the Hunt club run by Peele.
What do they do?
Well, it's pitiful, really. They talk about cruelty and snobbery
Mr. Roberts,
and all this.
you were asked what they actually did.
Well, when they decide to wreck a day's hunt, they're quite systematic. They find out where we're going to draw, and then they
Draw?
gather... Yes, draw, my lord. Then they gather a load of long-hairs and weirdies from the university and go round unblocking the earth that the huntsman's blocked the night before. They spray anti-mate and other stinking stuff to ruin the scent, and sometimes they throw thunder flashes and smoke bombs to disrupt the pack. Some of them even bring down old hunting horns they've got from junk shops and blow wrong calls from all directions just to confuse everyone. It's absolutely disgusting, and it's dangerous, too.
Yes, has it ever come to violence?
Oh, I'll say it has. Why, once one of them ran my car, and they've thrown fireworks underneath the horses.
Have you
to panic.
encountered the accused during these incidents?
Well, he's the ringleader. He's the worst of the lot. He's always there.
And how long has this been going on?
No, several years. 5, 6.
I see. Now, on the morning of February the 23rd, what time did you arrive at the hunt?
Well, I went along early because we'd heard there was going to be trouble.
Yes?
Well, we'd heard the Oiks were going to be about, you
You
see.
mean the members of the Smash the Hunt group?
Yes, sir.
Well, then say what you mean.
Yes, my lord. Well, we'd heard that they were going to be about, so I went along to see if they had unblocked the earth that the huntsman had blocked the previous night, and if so, I'd reblock them again. I went along about 5.
Where exactly did you go?
Blakely's Woods. That was where they were going to draw first.
You expected to find the earths unblocked?
Yes, and I did. So I swore to myself a bit, and then I set to put them back blocked. Charles James still being abroad at that hour. Well, I hadn't been at it more than a few minutes when I heard this funny noise.
What sort of a noise?
Well, someone creeping along, that was for sure. But there was also this funny hissing noise, like short bursts of hissing. So I says to myself, hey up, I says, what's this? And I went and had a peep, see, and it was him.
The defendant?
Yes, laying a trail with one of those spray gun things, a false trail. I watched him through the trees.
How far off were you?
Oh, 40, 50 yards. He was using that chemical stuff that smells like fox's urine. It smells horrible, but the pack goes mad for it. I could smell it from where I was. Well, he was laying a trail from the little lane that runs through the wood to his paddock, through the bracken, treading it down. So I said to myself, hey up, I says, what's he up to? And then I saw the hole in his fence that he'd made so the hounds could get in.
Mr. Roberts, did you actually see the defendant make a hole in his fence?
No, but I mean... it
So
was-
all you saw was that there was a hole in the fence?
Yes, my lord, but it was obvious...
Well, just say what you mean. What you saw.
Yes, my lord. Well, I saw there was a hole in the fence, and then I saw the little lamb lying dead.
The pet lamb?
Yes, it was lying on the grass in the paddock near the house. And I said to myself right away then, that little thing's dead.
You could see clearly.
Oh, I could see it clearly. And he was laying a trail for the pack to follow right up to his paddock and straight to the dead carcass of that little lamb.
The case of the Queen against Peele will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. On a Saturday morning last February, the Fulchester Valley foxhounds broke into a private garden and, it is alleged, savaged to death a young lamb in front of an 8-year-old child. Her father, Oliver Peele, killed several hounds with a shotgun. However, the Hunt and its supporters now claim that the whole incident was contrived to obtain anti-Hunt publicity and have caused Peele to be prosecuted for criminal damage. His defence counsel is now cross-examining the secretary of the Hunt Followers Club.
Now, Mr. Roberts, you say you actually saw my client in Blakely's woods.
Yes.
On February the 23rd at 5 a.m.
That's right.
Creeping along some 40 to 50 yards off, laying a false trail.
That's right.
Do you have X-ray eyes, Mr. Roberts?
Eh?
At 5 in the morning, it would have been pitch black.
No.
On February the 23rd, the sun did not rise until 6:59. That's 2 hours later. It wasn't even first light at 5 a.m.
I saw him.
Did you? How, Mr. Roberts?
Moonlight?
The moon set that night at 3:48, over an hour before.
Well, I don't know how, but I saw him.
Well, you haven't mentioned starlight, Mr. Roberts.
Oh, maybe it was by starlight then.
No, I'm so sorry, but this is an agreed report from the Fulchester Station of the Meteorological Office, Exhibit 4, my lord. There was thick cloud that morning.
Well, I saw him. I don't know how, but I saw him.
Clearly?
Yes.
No room for doubt?
No.
Well, it's most extraordinary, isn't it? Tell me, Mr. Roberts, would you say that you're a man of vivid imagination?
Look, I was reblocking the earths, wasn't I? I could see to do that, so maybe my eyes have got used to the dark.
Did you have a torch?
Yes?
Yes, you were using it to reblock the earths.
No, just to locate them, that's all. I could see to fill them.
Well, you obviously didn't shine your torch at this imaginary figure, did you?
No.
No, Mr. Roberts. No, I suggest that perhaps you did hear a noise, but you made up the rest. And the noise was probably one of these foxes in the undergrowth.
Foxes don't use spray guns.
No. And you heard sounds of spraying, did you not? Would you say that the spray gun used was like the one on the learned clerk's desk there? Exhibit 5, please. Could you show the witness? Was it like that one, Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Now, the police found this spray gun in my client's barn 3 days after the incident, and it was the only one on the premises. Would you say that it is reasonable to assume that had my client used such a spray gun, this was the actual one he used?
I suppose so.
Not an assumption I'd care to make.
No, my lord. Perhaps I should say it is a strong possibility.
Yeah.
Now, would you examine it, please, Mr. Roberts? It's pretty full, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask the usher to bring it over here, if you would, usher. Over in this far corner. With your lordship's permission, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Roberts, how far would you say that corner is from you?
About 30 feet.
10 yards, yes, thank you. Now, that's just a quarter of the distance you say you were from my client that night. Now, usher, if you would please turn your back on the witness box, and when I give you the word, I want you to press the spray a few times, and making sure that it's contained within the plastic bag. And I would like you, Mr. Roberts, to tell us from the sound alone how many times he does it. Thank you, usher. Well, Mr. Roberts?
Well, he hasn't done it at all yet.
Usher?
Twice, sir.
He did it twice, Mr. Roberts. So you see, the fact is that even indoors, in a quarter of the distance, you can't hear it.
Well, that couldn't have been the one then.
Well, it was the only one found at the defendant's house.
And what was it doing there then?
Oh, you'll hear my client admit freely that he's used it on other occasions, but not that particular night.
I heard he was using that damn spray. I heard him.
Is all this necessary? I really think... Fox's urine, you said, Mr. Lotterby?
Oh, yes, I see what you mean, my lord. I do apologize.
Yes. Open the doors! The architect didn't see fit to give us windows here. And get rid of that offending device. Really, Mr. Lotterby. Less vivid way for your illustration of this point.
I do beg your pardon, my lord. I did mean the spray to be contained within the polythene bag.
Well, this is quite intolerable. I suppose that's the best you can do, is it?
I'm afraid so, my lord.
Yeah. Oh, very well. Well, let's get on.
Yes, my lord. So, Mr. Roberts, you say that you heard the noise of the spray that night. Well, I would have thought if there was any noise, it would have been muffled by the bracken.
Well, it wasn't.
You did say bracken, didn't you? He
Yes.
trampled down the bracken. Bracken, Mr. Roberts? In February?
Well, it might have been just undergrowth.
You might have made a mistake.
Yes,
It was so dark you couldn't see properly. Tell me, have you been back to the site recently?
What?
Have you been back to the wood to look at the spot where you saw this happening?
No.
You haven't? I only ask because it is thick with bracken now. It's a curious mistake to make, wouldn't you say? Imagining there to have been bracken in February. Are you sure you haven't done some imaginative reconstruction? Got some of your memories a little mixed?
Certainly not.
You have used your imagination in some respects in this courtroom, have you not?
Eh?
With the lamb lying still on the lawn.
Yes.
Well, have you not heard of a lamb simply sleeping?
Didn't look asleep.
Oh, it didn't look asleep.
No, it didn't look asleep.
Well, how could you possibly tell?
Well, it lying there with all its legs spread eagle-like. A lamb asleep lies neat-like. I've looked after sheep most of my life.
And you could see this all at what distance?
Oh, close enough.
Yes, but how far? I mean in yards?
Maybe 30.
120,
No.
and at the closest point. 120 yards from the boundary fence to that patch of grass at the closest point, and on a pitch-black night.
Well, why the hell should I make all that up?
Tell me, why didn't you say anything at the time?
Eh?
Well, here was this man you say you saw actually in the act of sabotaging the hunt. You were there specifically to stop such action. Why didn't you challenge him, tell him to stop?
Well, I wanted to see what he was up to.
But you've just been saying you did see what he was up to.
I saw that he was up to something.
Ah, and it's only in the light of subsequent events that you decided what he was actually doing.
Look, I saw him. I saw what he was about.
But did nothing about it?
Yes, I did.
What?
Well, I reported it to the master.
What did you report?
I told him that Peele was up to something.
But not what he was up to.
Yes.
Oh, you said he was laying a trail, did you? I mean, to the master?
Well, I don't remember exactly.
You don't remember saying that?
Well, it was 6 months ago.
Precisely, so you don't remember.
I remember the main point.
But surely that was the cardinal point.
Then I must have said it then.
You were telling us you told the master that Peele was laying a trail near Blakely Wood, that the master still took the hunt there?
Yes.
Well, I reckon I could run a better hunt myself. I suggest that perhaps you did hear something in the wood that night, but it is only in the light of subsequent events that you dreamed up the details of this little story of yours.
That's not true. Why should I do a thing like that?
Why, indeed. What is your occupation, Mr. Roberts?
Well, what's that got to do with it?
Answer the question.
We're a farming family.
Do you farm yourself?
All my life.
Do you farm now?
No, I've retired from farming.
And you've got another job?
Look, that's got
what is your
nothing to
job
do with
now,
it.
Mr. Roberts?
Please answer the question.
I work for an estate agency.
Oh, yes. And who is its managing director?
Now, look,
Who is
you-
its managing director?
Mr. Kingsley, but that's got
And are
nothing
you
to do with
ambitious,
it.
Mr. Roberts?
What?
Are you ambitious?
No.
Oh, you're not ambitious.
Well, I like to get on. But,
And when did you join the Hunt followers?
When?
What year?
1969.
The year you joined the estate agency, in fact.
Now, look
What
here,
is the year you joined Mr. King Drakeley's estate agency?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
But that's got nothing to do with it. You're trying to
I
pull a
have no
false tale like him.
re-examination, my lord.
Leave the witness box, Mr. Roberts.
That concludes the case for the prosecution, my lord.
Very well. Mr. Lotterby.
I call the defendant Oliver Peele.
What is your religion?
I belong to no church, I wish to affirm.
Please raise your right hand and read aloud the words on this card.
I do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Oliver Peele. You live with your family at Little Stock, Blakely Bottom, near Fulchester.
Yes.
What is your occupation, Mr. Peele?
Well, several things, really. I have a 3-acre small holding, mostly of soft fruit. I keep bees and poultry. I also write a bit and travel around giving talks and lectures.
On what subject?
Country life, country crafts, maybe.
How long have you lived at Little Stock?
12 years.
Now, will you please tell the court about the anti-Hunt organization to which you belong?
Yes, I think I should say at once at the outset that this is a very unfortunate title. Smash the Hunt implies the kind of mindless violence which is the very thing we're opposed to. In essence, what we're trying to show is that the cruelty and the brutality involved in fox hunting is absolutely against every decent instinct and that large numbers of ordinary people are opposed to it.
You founded this particular group?
Oh, no. It's been going for many years. I just joined it and later on was elected to be its chairman.
Is it a purely local group?
Yes.
It therefore finds itself in opposition specifically to the Fulchester Valley Hunt.
Yes, that's right.
What are your group's methods?
Well, we stay within the law. That's absolutely basic. All this talk of thunder flashes, cars ramming each other.
You deny it?
Absolutely. We make silent protest within the law. We do spray anti-mate around. We do blow bugles to distract the hunt. We do unblock earths. But all these are perfectly legal ways of helping the fox. Once we sprayed the pack not with anti-mate but with mate, they couldn't get them to move on for hours.
What were your plans for this particular meet?
None.
You had no plans at all?
No.
Wasn't that odd, so near your home?
Oh, no. They meet twice a week. We can't cover every bloodthirsty event in the calendar.
Yes, I'm anxious not to turn this into a discussion on blood sports. If you could avoid making debating points, I would be grateful.
Debating points?
The word bloodthirst.
But they are blood.
It was an expression of opinion. Please keep to the facts. Yes, Mr. Lotterby.
My lord, you have heard a witness state, Mr. Peele, that he saw you in Blakely's wood in the small hours laying a trail.
I heard him, yes.
Is that true?
No.
Where were you at the time?
I was in bed, asleep.
And what time did you get up?
About 7.
So the allegation is quite untrue.
It's nonsense.
Would you now tell the court about the events which took place later on that morning?
When the dogs broke in?
Yes.
Well, it was but 11:30. I was having a cup of tea in the kitchen with John Bellows, an old friend who'd come over for the day to help me by taking some photographs for an article I was writing about carpenter bees.
About what?
Carpenter bees, they're wild, rather uncommon, but 5 of them had joined my colonies and been accepted in, which is very rare.
Yes.
My daughter, Sophie, was playing with her pet lamb in the garden immediately behind the house. The lamb had been very ill, but she'd made a marvelous recovery, and Sophie was, well, very pleased.
Had the lamb fully recovered?
Not fully, no, but she was doing very well. She was markedly better. She was making a good recovery.
Go on, please.
Well, I suddenly heard Sophie scream. You can't see anything from where we were. I mean, there's no window in the kitchen through to that part of the garden, so John and I ran round by the side door and into the little herb garden where you can see the back garden and the paddock. We saw about 12 huge dogs racing across the grass towards her, baying and howling. It was absolutely terrifying. Sophie was rooted to the spot. I shouted, all right, darling, and I ran across her and snatched her up in my arms just as the dogs reached her. But she shouted, Joey, that's the pet lamb, and I realized this is what the dogs were making for. I lifted her as high as I could, and I ran back towards the house, and I put Sophie down, and I went back into the kitchen to fetch the gun. But by this time, half the pack must have been in there. And Sophie began to scream again and run towards them. But I could see what was happening. John grabbed her this time, but all the dogs were attacking little Joey, and not just attacking her, but literally tearing her to pieces. It was the most appalling sight. Horrible. I raised my gun and I fired twice with both barrels right into the pack, and then I reloaded and fired again, both barrels, reloaded and fired. I must have killed a lot of the dogs. I wish to God I could have killed them all. Sophie was in a terrible state. She was screaming, crying. I've never seen anything like it. I tried to calm her down, and then suddenly she began to convulse. I was terrified. I got her into the car as best I could and drove her straight to the doctor. And the doctor said that she...
I'm sorry, Mr. Peele, you can't tell us that. That's hearsay evidence. Now, how did these beasts get onto your land?
It was hole in the paddock fence. I've been meaning to mend it for days.
Yes, what would have caused the hole?
I've no idea.
Now, would you explain how photographs of the incident came to appear in the press shortly afterwards?
Well, yes, as I said before, John Bellows was there with his photographic equipment. I know it sounds like a coincidence, but that was what happened.
How is your daughter now, Mr. Peele?
The experience that she's undergone has brought on a mental disturbance, which I can't bear to think about. She used to be a bright, happy, open little girl. Now she's sullen, morose, withdrawn. She's having intensive psychiatric treatment.
Thank you, Mr. Peele.
Mr. Peele, would you describe yourself as a man of peace?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, were you a conscientious objector during the war?
Yes?
And you're a vegetarian?
That's right, yes.
Would you take a human life?
No.
Under no circumstances?
Under no circumstances.
Or any life? I mean animals?
Not if it could be avoided.
Then why'd you keep a shotgun in your house?
Even a man of peace has rabbits eating his lettuces.
Oh, it's for rabbits.
But to scare them off, not to kill them.
But why don't you have a license for it?
What?
The police have no record of your having taken out a license for your gun. That is a very serious matter, Mr. Peele.
No, well, actually, it doesn't belong to me.
Not yours? Well, you told the police
Yes,
that...
I know, I shouldn't have done. It belongs to a friend.
So you lied to the police?
Well, not lied.
Mr. Peele, you told the police that the gun belonged to you, and that was a lie.
I greatly regret it.
Who is the owner, then?
A friend.
Yes, well, his name, please.
My lord, do I really have to answer that?
Yes.
Well, it doesn't belong by any chance to Mr. John Bellows, the photographer.
Yes.
Really, Mr. Peele? Another interesting coincidence.
Well, I'd only borrowed it a week before. I was going to return it that very day. I know I should, strictly speaking, have got a license for it, but I did not, in fact, use it, at any rate until that day.
But the gun belonged to Mr. Bellows, the man who took the photographs, and you attempted to hide the fact from the police.
I'm very sorry.
Mr. Bellows is a press photographer, is he
Yes,
not?
he's a freelance photographer.
Yes, who has in the past sold some pretty sensational photographs to the press.
My lord, the defendant is obviously not qualified to answer that question. Mr. Bellows will be appearing as a witness. My learned friend is perfectly at liberty to put that question to him if he so desires.
I'm obliged to my learned friend. Is Mr. Bellows also a member of your Smash the Hunt group?
My lord, surely that too is a question for Mr. Bellows.
With respect to my learned friend, the defendant is the chairman of the group, so surely he knows who are its members.
Yes, I suppose that's right.
Thank you, my lord. Mr. Peele?
No, he's not a member.
Not?
No.
Would you have a look at this document, please? Is it the Treasurer's list of the membership as it stood in October last year?
Where did you get that?
Answer the question, please.
Yes, it seems so.
Yes, I'd like to enter this as an exhibit, my lord.
Exhibit 8, Mr. O'Connor.
Thank you. The 10th name on the list is Mr. John Bellows of 14 Richmond Way, Fulchester, is it not?
Yes.
So he is a member.
I never knew that.
You never knew that? Oh, come on, Mr. Peele.
Well, I knew he was sympathetic to our aims, of course.
Had he never
but...
been out on one or more of your demos,
well,
as you
you
call it?
don't have to be a member for that. Anybody
So
can
he
assist.
had been out.
Yes.
How much does Mr. Bellows subscribe?
Well, it says here £5.
Yes. And that is the largest subscription made by any member, isn't it?
Yes, it seems so.
An old friend, the biggest subscriber, and you were not aware that he was a member. Come on, Mr. Peele, you knew perfectly well that he was a member, and you were lying once more.
That is untrue.
It was another lie, wasn't it?
It was not a deliberate lie.
Oh, no, not the sort you'd tell the police. Mr. Bellows, an old friend, the biggest subscriber to the Smash the Hunt group, lends you his shotgun comes round to your house just before the meet and is ready, camera poised, at the very moment that the hounds burst into your garden. Really, Mr. Peele, what do you take us for?
I'm telling the truth.
As you did about the shotgun, eh? Now, you said before that you lived in your present house for 12 years. Where'd you live before?
North London.
For how long?
All my life.
And what was your occupation?
Schoolmaster.
Oh. So all this country life lecturing, this back to the soil syndrome is, so to speak, a pretty recent development.
12 years.
Well, would you agree that you're not basically a countryman at all?
Well, I am now.
You're more a townee.
I've always loathed towns, particularly London.
Well, yet you lived there for, 42 years. Were you a successful teacher?
I believe so.
It's an estate school?
Yes.
Primary school?
Yes.
Headmaster?
No.
Deputy headmaster? Head of a department?
An ordinary teacher.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Peele, but that doesn't sound like a very successful career to me. How old are you?
54.
So, after 22 years, you threw up your job, you moved out of London to become, so to speak, a professional countryman, an expert on bees and so forth. You no chip on your shoulder, Mr. Peele.
What the hell do you mean by that?
Surely this is not relevant.
Mr. O'Connor, what point do these questions have?
Well, my lord, I wish to show that the defendant's anti-establishment feelings, manifested in his conscientious objection and his anti-Hunt demonstrations and so forth, derive from his bitterness at having failed in his career.
It's a very fanciful theory, surely.
Well, nevertheless, my lord, I do feel that I should...
to use up any more of the court's time. I think we should concentrate on the events rather than the personalities.
As your lordship pleases.
Thank you, my lord.
Tell me, Mr. Peele, apart from yourself and your daughter and Mr. Bellows, who else was present when the hounds were shot?
My wife.
And where is she today? I'm not asking if she's to be called, I'm merely asking where she is. Where's your wife, please?
She's away with friends.
With your daughter?
Yes.
She's not here to give you personal and moral support on what must be for you a most distressing occasion.
She's not been very well lately. She just went away.
Where to?
I don't know.
You don't know? Mr. Peele, has your wife left you?
Not left me, no, just gone away for a bit.
How much did you see of the shooting incident? I mean, of course, was she present when the hounds were shot?
She certainly saw the shooting.
And when did she leave your house? When did she leave your house, Mr. Peele?
The day after.
You're saying 7 months ago, the day after the shooting, your wife left the house and has not been back?
Yes.
The case of the Queen against Peele will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. On a Saturday morning last February, the Fulchester Valley foxhounds broke into a private garden and, it's alleged, savaged a young lamb to death in front of an 8-year-old child. Her father, Oliver Peele, killed several hounds with a shotgun. However, the Hunt and its supporters now claim that the whole incident was contrived to obtain anti-Hunt publicity and have caused Peele to be prosecuted for criminal damage. He's now being cross-examined by counsel for the prosecution.
Mr. Peele, would you please explain the spray gun of fox scent in your barn?
Yes, I'd used it in the past.
For what purpose?
To disrupt the hunt.
Oh, you admit that?
Yes, I've already said so.
So how precisely is it used?
To lay false trails across the route the dogs would be taking.
So the hounds would then follow your trail in preference to any genuine trail they might have been pursuing at the time.
Yes, that's
precisely what it is alleged happened on February the 23rd.
Yes, but at 5 in the morning I was in bed and asleep.
Strange, with the hunt being so close. Anyway, we only have your word for that, haven't we?
I'm telling the truth.
Yes? Could anyone else have got hold of the spray?
Not without my knowledge, but then there'd be nothing to stop anybody else buying the stuff without my knowledge and using it.
To lay a trail directly through the woods to the hole in your fence doesn't sound very likely, does it? Without such an artificial trail, however, how do you account for the hounds bursting through the hole in your paddock fence?
The Fulchester Valley hunt was frequently an ill-managed rout.
But you hardly assisted with your disruptive tactics. Did it never occur to you that the deliberate breaking up of someone's lawful sport, something accepted as part of the English scene for centuries...
Mr. O'Connor, we are not here to discuss the merits or demerits of the activities of Mr. Peele's group, but rather the lawfulness or unlawfulness of his admitted actions.
I beg your pardon, my lord.
Look, I must be allowed to answer that.
We will not pursue the subject.
Yes, but look here, he has made the most damaging...
Peele, we will not pursue the subject. I direct you to be silent.
The slave trade was part of the English scene for centuries. That doesn't make it any better.
Will you be silent? I direct you to confine yourself to answering the questions. I will decide whether or not learned counsel's questions are proper ones. Well, let's get on.
My lord, before the incident, what were your relations with the master of foxhounds, Mr. King Drakeley?
Pretty cordial loathing.
It's mutual, old boy.
Yes, and will you be silent, too?
And why was that?
I disliked him and everything he stood for. Also, there was an incident. I don't know whether I should refer to it.
If it's relevant, you should.
Well, I had a dog, a cocker spaniel. She was very friendly. One day she got out and I found her on his land, riddled with shotgun pellets.
Was it dead?
No, not dead, terribly wounded. He'd left her in agony. I know he denies it, but it's true. I had to have her put down. She'd done nobody any harm. So, I went across to his house, and when he opened the door, I knocked him to the floor. I was prosecuted and fined £100 for assault leading to actual...
Yes. It is my duty to instruct you of your privilege not to inform the court of any previous convictions. However, that seems a bit late now.
I wanted it to come out.
You were found guilty?
I pleaded guilty. I could have blinded him.
Thank you, Mr. Peele. I have no further questions.
Do you wish to re-examine Mr. Lotterman? No. You may leave the witness box and return to the dock.
I call Anthony John Bellows.
Anthony John Bellows, please.
Anthony John Bellows of 14 Richmond Way, Fulchester, a freelance photographer.
That's right.
Would you please look at this edition of the Fulchester Gazette, Mr. Bellows? Show him Exhibit 3, please. Mr. Bellows, did you take the photographs which appear on the front page?
Yes.
Will you please tell the court exactly how they came to be taken?
Certainly. I was commissioned by Mr. Peele to take some photographs for an article which he was writing for the Weekly Beekeeper. So I went up to Little Stock Farm with my equipment to do this. And while I was there, this incident occurred and I photographed it.
You were not retained by anyone at the time to take these photographs?
Well, no, since no one knew it was going to happen.
Did Mr. Peele arrange the time and the day when you were to go to Little Stock Farm with your camera?
No, I did.
You arranged the time and the day, not Mr. Peele?
Yes, I asked him when was convenient and suggested that Saturday morning.
Were you aware that the Fulchester Valley Hunt was meeting close by that morning?
No.
Now, lastly, Mr. Bellows, were you part of or aware of any plot or manipulation of events which led to the taking of those photographs?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Bellows.
How much were you paid for these photographs?
My lord, is that relevant?
Mr. O'Connor?
My lord, I wish to establish what sort of financial inducement there can be to arrange such photographs as these.
Yes, I think that's justifiable.
Thank you, my lord. Mr. Bellows?
The Fulchester Gazette paid me £50 and the syndication...
And the other papers?
I was going to say, and the syndication rights brought in about another £750.
£750?
About, yes.
Not a bad Saturday morning's work.
Doesn't happen every Saturday morning.
I shouldn't imagine it does. Nevertheless, once in a while. Tell me, as a freelance photographer, do you observe certain ethical standards?
Of course.
What are they, please?
You want me to describe them?
If you please, yes.
Well, I suppose they amount to behaving responsibly, observing and defending the integrity of the profession.
And are these standards generally observed by those in your... So you did say profession, did you not?
I think so, yes.
Oh, tell me, how much money did you make from your famous photograph of Lady Lee?
I fail to see what that is.
Did you not take a certain, somewhat sensational photograph of Lady Lee in 1971, showing the lady
It has
actually...
no connection whatever with this case.
Well, Lady Lee complained to the press council, did she not? And you were reprimanded for a gross invasion of privacy. And there are various reports in the newspapers saying that you made £2,300 from the one photograph.
What you seem unable to grasp is that that is my job. One year I might have a good year, an exceptional subject in which a single photograph will pay me as much as my whole previous year's earnings. I'm a professional. I photograph what I'm commissioned to photograph, or what I have the good luck to see. I may point out that the content of Lady Lee's photograph was never questioned.
She really did do that?
Oh, yes.
You set it up in no way?
No. Nor this. The two are quite unconnected.
I'm sure the jury will see the connection, even if you don't. Now, were you very concerned for Mr. Peele's daughter when this happened?
Of course.
You did everything in your power to protect her, to fight off the hounds and so forth.
Naturally.
So would you look at the photograph on the right-hand side of the page that we've been looking at? It shows Sophie fairly surrounded by hounds, does it not? She looks pretty terrified to me.
She was terrified.
Then why didn't you go and rescue her?
I did.
No, you didn't, Mr. Bellows. You stopped and you took this photograph.
Split second.
It takes longer
Took a
than a
split
split
second for me to take the photograph. With me, it's a reflex action. It in no way held up my attempts to rescue Sophie.
Oh, we'll just have to take your word for your reflex action. Were you in the house when you first heard the hounds?
Yes.
And you ran outside?
Yes.
To the herb garden?
Yes.
And then you ran back inside into the house to fetch your camera?
It's nonsense.
Oh, you mean you were carrying your camera with you at the time? And yet you told us you didn't know what you were going to find?
I always carry my camera with me. It was slung around my neck ready to photograph the bees.
How very convenient.
No, simply professional.
Why'd you lend Mr. Peele your shotgun?
I wanted to help him control his rabbits.
You knew he had no license, and therefore it was illegal to lend him the gun.
I really didn't think about it.
You didn't think about it? You don't appear to have much regard for the laws of this land. Are you a subscriber to the Smash the Hunt group?
Yes.
Did you subscribe £5 to them last year?
Yes.
And you made £800 out of these photographs. Congratulations. I've no further questions, my lord.
You wish to re-examine Mr. Otterby?
Just one point, my lord. Mr. Bellows, did you accept the press council's adjudication against you in the Lady Lee case?
No, in fact, I'm still fighting it. In my whole career, it's been the only allegation ever made against my professional integrity. And it is untrue.
Thank you, Mr. Bellows.
Candish, you are a registered medical practitioner, and among your patients is Sophie Peele, the daughter of the defendant.
That's right.
How long have you known her?
All her life.
What has been the general state of her health up till last February?
Very bobbish.
Now, did Mr. Peele come to you, to your home on the morning of February the 23rd last with his daughter?
He did.
Would you describe what happened, please?
Well, she was hysterical. She was crying uncontrollably and sometimes convulsing. It was terrible to see.
Yes?
Well, her father carried her into my surgery and laid her on the couch. I gave her an injection of Valium to quieten her, after I'd made sure that the attack did not have a physiological basis.
Mr. Peele had told you of the experience his daughter had just undergone.
The business of the hunt? Yes.
Now, in your opinion, was this hysterical attack due to this experience?
Oh, without question.
Now, you've seen her fairly regularly since then?
Yes.
What changes have you noticed in her personality?
Before, she was a bright, open, sunny child, and now she's unresponsive and sullen. She's terribly fearful of dogs, and the sight or even the mention of a gun reduces her to tears. She's a pathetic wee thing.
Had you seen her not long before the incident?
Yes,
Why
only
was
the
that?
previous week.
Why was that, Doctor?
Well, she'd been having sleepless nights. There was a general disturbance. But nothing like what she has now. I advised Mr. Peele to keep her off from school for a few days and avoid excitement and so on.
So Mr. Peele had been specifically advised not to expose his daughter to distressing circumstances?
Oh, yes.
You knew Mr. Peele well?
Yes.
Did he strike you as being concerned about his daughter?
Oh, very much so. He always was very attentive to his daughter's welfare.
Didn't strike you as a man who would deliberately engineer the invasion by dogs when by so doing he knew he would be exposing his daughter's health to risk?
Impossible.
Is she receiving treatment now?
Yes, with a consultant psychiatrist at St. James's.
Now, in your opinion, could this change in her personality have come about as the result of any event other than an experience of the nature described to you by her father?
No.
Thank you, Doctor. Are you a psychiatrist, Dr. McCandlish?
I'm a general practitioner.
You're not a psychiatrist.
Well, you cannot be a GP without
With
being
respect,
so...
Doctor, I must ask you to answer my question, please.
What was it?
Are you a psychiatrist?
Well, not specifically.
How old are you, Doctor?
Eh?
How old are you, Doctor?
I'm 90.
You're still practicing?
Part-time.
I congratulate you. In what year did you qualify?
Oh, in 1909.
So you commenced your training as a doctor in the year?
1903.
Now, would I be right in assuming that at that time the psychiatry formed no part of medical training whatsoever?
Oh, I have taught it to myself.
Really? How?
Oh, I read it up. I followed the professional journals.
But you've never received any training in the subject?
No.
No. So any comment on matters of a psychiatric nature are purely amateurish?
Well, if you like.
Yes. But from your admittedly limited and self-taught knowledge, is it not possible that such an hysterical attack as you have described could have been caused by something else? The violent and abrupt separation of the parents, for example?
They were not separated.
Oh, yes, they are, Doctor. Were you not aware of that?
No.
Did the little girl actually tell you herself why she was hysterical?
No, I don't think so.
Then your speculation on the cause is...
I've been called to give evidence here because I'm her GP. And so I knew her both before and after the event and can comment on her change in personality.
When was the last time you saw her before the February of this year?
16th of October, 1972.
That's nearly 2 years ago.
Yes, that's right.
Is that her medical card?
Yes.
May I see it, please? Yeah. You've only seen her 4 times before this incident.
Oh, no, surely not.
Did you write every visit on this card?
Yes.
Well, there are only 4 entries here before the incident in 1967, 69, 72, and the first February visit of this year. You hardly knew her at all.
And you're perfectly well.
So would you say that her teachers probably knew her better?
Teachers?
Yes, her form teacher and her head teacher would have seen her every day over the past 4 years.
Well, obviously they would.
Yes, will you please look at these copies of her school report? They are agreed documents, my lord. Exhibit 6. Now, you will note that the head teacher comments on her morose and sullen character. Will you please turn to the report for the summer term 1971 and see what the head teacher has written at the bottom of the page, please? Sophie is a sullen and unresponsive child. Christmas term, last year, her latest report. Sophie is obstinate and unresponsive.
But every time I saw her, she was bright as a button.
4 brief meetings over 8 years.
That's quite sufficient.
Well, it's very mysterious, Doctor, to say the least. What does she look like?
What?
Will you describe her to us, please?
Oh, well, she was a sturdy wee lassie with kind of darkish hair and...
No, Doctor. She's thin, with light hair.
Aye, that's right. And,
I've no further questions for this witness, my lord. Members of the jury, this case comes down to one simple question. Who is lying? Is it the defendant, Oliver Peele, when he says he was no part of a conspiracy? That the hounds burst into his garden without his encouragement or anticipation? That the photographer was simply present by good luck? Or is it the witness who swore before you on oath that he saw Oliver Peele deliberately laying a false scent to create a situation which he knew would lead to a packet of trouble for the hunt, as he had done many times before, and which, by his own admission, were well within the common practices of his Smash the Hunt group? Oliver Peele has confessed that he lied to the police, and he'd attempted to deceive you also over the matter of the shotgun. His accomplice, the photographer, has admitted making no less a sum than £800 out of these photographs. One is prepared to lie to the police, and the other ruthlessly to exploit a distressing situation for his own financial gain. What do we have to support their version of events? Only their word, ladies and gentlemen. The word, respectively, of a proven liar, a professed conscientious objector, unable to control his violent instincts, with a history of assault, and a man who has ridden roughshod over the ethics of his profession to enrich himself. In their fanatical loathing for the hunt, Oliver Peele and his accomplice ignored the cruel effect their scheme would have on Sophie. Members of the jury, I suggest to you that Oliver Peele acted unlawfully in destroying those hounds, that he did entice them into his grounds to attack the body of the already dead lamb. His daughter was indeed a witness of terrible events, and combined with the effect of the rift between her parents, which showed itself in her sullen and morose behavior over the previous years, the savage destruction of the already dead lamb by the hounds resulted in a mental disturbance requiring psychiatric treatment. Now, some of you may think that this is sufficient punishment on her father, but I submit that you have no alternative but to find him guilty as charged.
My lord. Members of the jury, the defendant has been described by prosecution witnesses as a crank. And why? Because he is a vegetarian, a former conscientious objector, and an opponent of the hunt. A crank, ladies and gentlemen, or merely a dedicated man with strong beliefs who feels that the sight of red-coated gentlemen indulging in what he believes to be a barbaric and bloodthirsty sport is utterly revolting. Now, can you believe, members of the jury, that this man is a monster of cruelty? Well, that is what the prosecution would have you believe. If the prosecution's allegations are true, then Oliver Peele was prepared ruthlessly to exploit his own daughter's mental illness to gain, well, what exactly? Merely one more piece of anti-hunt publicity? Now, the prosecution has made great play of Mr. Peele's lie over the matter of the ownership of the shotgun, because he did lie, members of the jury, and lies are at any time reprehensible, and I would not have you believe that I would suggest otherwise. But I would direct your attention to evidence given by certain prosecution witnesses and suggest to you that the great number of lies told by these hunting gentlemen amounts to a conspiracy which has resulted from the intense hatred they feel towards my client and the anti-hunt organization to which he belongs. Now, members of the jury, the prosecution has sought to lay many a false scent to confuse this essentially simple case. It is simple, members of the jury, and the one crucial question which you must ask yourselves is this. Would Oliver Peele deliberately set up this attack by a pack of hounds on his daughter's pet lamb, be it alive or dead, and thus expose his already sick daughter to such a horrifying, traumatic, and potentially damaging experience? Now, I say he would not, members of the jury. And I say that the prosecution has utterly failed to prove that he did, and that you must find Oliver Peele not guilty.
Thank you. Members of the jury, it is my duty to instruct you as to the law in this matter, and that at least is uncomplicated. The accused is charged with maliciously destroying the property of another without lawful excuse. That is, that he shot the hounds, which were not his, without having a good reason for doing so. Now, the fact that they were trespassing on his land, that wouldn't be a good reason. But if they were killing his daughter's pet lamb, then it would be a good reason. If that was true, then he was justified in shooting those hounds in defense of his property, and you must find him not guilty. But if that was false, if the lamb was already dead, then he had no lawful excuse for shooting the hounds, and you must find him guilty. Now, you may wish to consider the credibility of the various witnesses as they gave their evidence. You might consider that the prosecution witnesses, the master of foxhounds, the vet, the farmer, who is now an employee of the master of foxhounds, perhaps, as has been implied by learned counsel for the defense, connived together to harry the accused. You must also remember that it was Mr. Bellows, an old friend of the accused, who was ready with gun and camera. My passions were and are very much aroused on both sides in this case. But I must warn you against exercising any sympathies you may have for or against the practice of fox hunting. You might be the most ardent rider to hounds, you might be the most passionate opponent of blood sports, but you must put these considerations outside your mind, and they must form no part of your deliberations. It is upon the evidence, and upon the evidence alone, that you must reach a verdict. And please remember that the prosecution must prove to your entire satisfaction that the offense was committed before you can convict. Will you now please retire and consider your verdict?
All stand. Prisoner will stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Just answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached a verdict upon which you are all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the defendant, Oliver Peele, guilty or not guilty of criminal damage?
Not guilty.
You are discharged. Free to leave the court.
Court will rise.